and that has not been my experience in the slightest.
Yeah.
People have this like I was raised Catholic, and people have this like coming to confession guilt when they bring a book back late, and I'm like, first of all,
no.
we don't do overdue fees. That's a thing in all of Cobb County. A lot of libraries have moved towards that model. There's been a lot of studies on how
That's
nickel and diming people for things being late actually discourages library participation, and so it's kind of like a cost trade-off thing. Yeah, so a lot of systems started doing that during COVID and have then kept that as the way.
That's
so
nice.
yeah, we're not gonna be like 40 cents for being a day late or whatever it was back in the day. So there's that, but people have this like perception that we're somehow judging how they're reading, what they're reading, how often they're reading. Like we don't care. We really don't. We
just want people to read. Please read.
People to read. Yeah. And so there's not this demonization of like, oh, well, graphic novels aren't real books, or like, oh, like, audiobooks aren't real. Like, it's all reading. It's all good. It's all stories. You're still consuming the same content.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Untitled Work in Podcast. I'm Darcy.
And I'm Lauren.
And today we have a special guest.
Hey there, I'm Matthew.
Welcome in, Matthew. We're excited to have you today.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
First, we'll dive into, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hey there. My name is Matthew, he, him pronouns, and I am a writer who works here at Sewell Mill Library in Marietta. How far do you want to go back into the backstory here? Do you want to stick with the log line? Do you want me to go further? Or, how do y'all typically do this kind of stuff?
Well, it's really just kind of, I guess, whatever you're comfortable sharing, like what got you into writing or the creative world or the library world, like what really like brought you into this space? Yeah,
great question. So I've been a little bit all over the place, was always into writing in some way, shape, or form, writing lots of like little stories as a kid and things like that. I was talking to a coworker the other day, we were talking about fan fiction, and I was saying like, I've never written fan fiction. That was never a thing. And then I remembered my totally original pirate novel about Captain John Robin that I wrote back in like 2004. And I was like, okay,
Nice.
So maybe that was a thing.
An unknown fan fiction writer.
Right. I had a lot of realizations. But yeah, so I was always writing stories and things, and then around middle school I started playing guitar, writing music, and then I took a creative writing class and started writing like fiction and poetry and things like that, and that all kind of meshed together. And then I went to school. I went to college thinking I was going to do kind of the more singer-songwriter thing, and then I really started like reigniting my love of theater, and then I started doing theater stuff. And then that moved into, I was in some plays that I thought were not very well written, to be honest, some of which were written by professors, and I was like, this is not, I was in rehearsals as an actor, and I was looking at, one of the professors wrote like a adaptation of Antigone, which was very pretentious and whatever, and I was looking in the rehearsals. Yeah, right. I was like, you could have changed this to that. Oh, actually, this makes more sense as that. Like, I was like annotating my own script, and then I was like, well, maybe I want to be on writing. Actor. Very much so. Very, very precocious, for better and for worse. And then from there, I was like, well, I really feel like, as an actor, you kind of have to be okay with a lot of bad scripts and a lot of bad directors. And I just didn't think I had that in me to do as like a full career. So I was like, well, I've always loved writing. And there was a really great screenwriting professor at Elon University, where I went. Go Phoenix. No, but nobody has school pride for Elon. But so I switched to the film major and ended up minoring in creative writing. So I've really kind of been all over the map. Nowadays, I do a little more, I'd say, on the songwriting and also playwriting side of things. But yeah, I've kind of been everywhere in terms of like fiction, poetry, prose. I've done a lot of teaching and things. I really enjoy teaching. Nice. It's been interesting kind of bouncing from lily pad to lily pad creatively.
Very cool.
With all the lily pad bouncing, have you found like a specific medium that you really like is your favorite niche to tell stories in?
That's a good question. I mean, it really just depends. I think that what I love screenwriting as a craft, but for me, a lot of the migrating away from it a little bit has been just logistical things of like, it is so expensive to make even short films, like even like a 10-15 minute short film is like we're looking at 5 digits on that check kind of thing. And I have a lot more friends. Like my wife is a music theater performer, and so I have a lot more like friends and resources and stuff like that in the theater world. So I do love theater, but even then, I feel like I've been told by creative writing professors and playwriting professors that I write like a screenwriter, and I've been told by screenwriting professors that I write like a playwright. And so it's kind of both. And I really, it's a pretentious answer, but I honestly think that once you get more comfortable in different mediums, I feel like different stories kind of want to be told by one medium or another.
For sure. Yeah.
So yeah, that's an answer, non-answer, I guess, for you.
Hey.
Well, do you mind if I ask a question real quick?
No. Yeah, I was just agreeing with them.
Yeah. So, Matthew, do you have like a work in progress for theater right now, since you mentioned theater and playwriting and stuff, or is it?
Yeah. Untitled work in Untitled work in podcast. That's where we're at, right?
Yeah.
Which is very fun. So I kind of have two works. One that has been a little longer on the docket and has been a little harder, which is I've been writing a pop punk musical for the past couple of years. Very quarter life crisis. It's about a young woman who on her 25th birthday she gets this like time capsule that she had sent from her like 14-year-old self, and the 14-year-old self is like, here's all the things I hope you have done and are and whatever, and of course that's not
very relatable.
Yeah. And so it's her kind of coping with like adulthood and like, oh, I have like a job and a partner and all these things that are really good, but like, am I as punk as I used to be? You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. And that's been
super
ongoing. Fun. Yeah, that's been kind of an ongoing project. And then I have a play that's actually going a little bit quicker in some ways. Well, play with music. I ended up incorporating music in a lot of things, but it's about an uncle who has to go back home to meet his new nephew for his first birthday, and the nephew is a complete psychopath. He's like played by a grown man and like is like a felt Muppet, and just is like the most demanding. Like they're at dinner and everybody's like, whenever the baby claps, everybody claps, and like the lights shift and the baby's like, why aren't you clapping? Everyone claps for me. I'm the what? Do you not get the program here? This is not so. And that's called Yay Harvey, because the baby's name is Harvey. So,
wow, that is like such a meta concept, and like I can see it in my head, and I can't see it in my head at the same time.
Sure.
I feel like you would have to experience it to actually like get the gist, like get the full scope of like what you're saying.
Yeah,
if that makes sense, because it sounds like it's very much a story that's like, oh, I've got some things to tell you.
Yeah. I too became an uncle for the first time in the past 2 years, and babies are such terrorists, but they're supposed to be. Like developmentally, they're supposed to be, and you can't blame them for that. They only know here and now and want and more. But so those are my two kind of projects that I'm mainly working on, and then of course, like I've been writing I've been putzing around, as you'd say, on a young adult like fantasy novel for a minute, as many people are. It's very like Appalachian folktale kind of spooky stuff. So I tend to work on that a lot this time of year. So a lot of irons in the fire, I guess. But I found that's kind of the best way for me to be in process.
Nice.
That makes sense.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is really cool. I'm excited to see all the final products of all of those. Those sound really cool.
You and me both, man.
I feel like that's our response and a lot of guest responses when we talk about works in progress. Like, we'll see.
Well, because I feel like it's funny. It's, and I don't ever blame anybody, but whenever I mention that I'm a writer, I feel like people always are like, oh, I have this one idea for something, and I'm like, oh, well, are you writing it? Like, are you doing anything? They're like, it's an idea, maybe one day and whatever. And I feel like ideas are cheap, but the doing it is the hard part.
Oh my gosh, so hard.
Like a pitch is great, and a pitch is a hard thing to do, whatever. But I do feel like that's the thing that really differentiates people is like, can you finish a thing? And that's I've been in both camps of that, where I have like this pop punk musical. I've been in the works for like probably 4 or 5 years now, just because it's like it's so close to home that I'm like, I can't solve my character's problems until I solve my own problems a little bit.
Oh no,
nice.
Yeah,
nice.
and also
that though.
Yeah, and I just think that being an adult with a job and a family and things, it's hard to find time to just sit and write and, you know, bust things out. So I just think a lot of people I talk to have really great ideas. But, you know, the finishing is always the hard part for people, I feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times my parents were just like, hey, you gonna ever, you know, finish that book you read us like 4 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you find, because I go back and forth with this, do you find that it makes it easier or harder when you have like when you share an unfinished something with people in your life? Do you think it's like is that good pressure or bad pressure for you? Because I've had kind of both, I guess, where it's like, oh, people are excited about it, now I have like motivation to finish, or it's like, oh my god, everyone's expecting this and now I have to do it. Like, I don't know, for y'all, is that one way or the other with that?
That is a good question. Well, for me, in the past it hasn't helped, but with Lauren it has, I guess. Like this, because the project that we've been working on now for a while, it will be the first time I've actually finished, like fully fledged, fleshed out, and putting out into the world something. So that pressure from like Lauren and then my family and my roommates and stuff, like that's definitely helped me like actually go the extra mile to finish it. So I definitely have had both, like you said, where it's like sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah.
I would say it helps me more, like it helps always, but I think it's more helpful when the goal is actually built out with an understanding of what it will take to get there. If I just like, so for example, with the novella that we're working on, we were like, I don't know, maybe mid to late September, early October at the latest, we're like, let's do the novella. And we were like, 1 month should be enough time. We had never done a novella. We really didn't know a lot about novellas. We didn't read novellas. We were like, this would be just fine. If we had sat down and like thought it through, I think we would have avoided some of the like stressors that we've encountered along the way that have caused us to have to like take a few steps back to reorient things. And then we would have had a more realistic deadline probably. But I also think just having that pressure is like good, because it's like, okay, well, it needs to get done. And if I make this take too long, then now I'm bleeding into the next thing that I need to be working on.
Yeah.
Darcy may disagree with me given all the stress.
No, it's fine. I didn't write, you know, almost 30,000 words in 2 weeks, and then we were like, actually, let's rewrite this entire thing. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's fine. It's all on fire. No worries.
That's wild. No, that's a big achievement, though. That's a lot of words.
Yeah. Nano's going to be like a breeze for Darcy.
I was going to say, yeah.
I might just start crying. No. We, I definitely agree with Lauren about having more like set expectations and actually like sitting down and talking, because originally with the novella, that's the issue we ran into. Like she was saying, is that like we didn't really like know novellas very well. So like we wrote, I think we were at like 23,000 words. And then I was like, Lauren, we need to have a conversation, because this is just, it's too much. Yeah. We're not even halfway done and we're at 30, and novellas have to be like 40 to 50, I think, under 50. So then it wasn't last Friday, but the Friday.
That was like 2 weeks.
Last Friday?
I think it will have been 2 weeks. Like this Friday will be 2 weeks from when we pivoted.
Yeah, so
or didn't pivot,
we
but
were like,
actually reorganized.
We were like, hey, let's actually rewrite this and start over. And we started from scratch, and we still had the deadline. And that pressure of the deadline, though, although it's so stressful, that pressure of like, people are expecting this now to come out on this date. We already told them, has helped me like keep with the motivation.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a huge thing for me as well. And I know, like, I mean, my first draft, my first musical, I literally like booked a space for a reading and like bought plane tickets for some of my friends to come down from New York. And literally I was like, they're coming. I was like, and there was something, and not that every deadline has to be that drastic, but for me it did. And there was something about the fact that it was like, even I think if it was just in town people, because I called in a favor from a friend who owns like a studio, and you know, she gave me the space for free, which is very generous. So there wasn't even any like sunk cost in that way, but like something about like, I have people who are coming to see this. Yeah. And it made me finish. And oh boy, did I sleep that week? Don't ask me that question. But but just the finishing. And that's a big thing. So we have a program that we kind of piloted last year with the library that we're kind of expanding this year in the spring, called the First Draft Marathon. And it's kind
Nice.
of an offshoot of NaNoWriMo, you know, especially with kind of a lot of the controversy they've fallen into in recent times or whatever.
Well, I don't think they exist anymore, actually. So
I
it's just
don't
more of
think-
continuing the spirit.
I think they have you know, given up the ghost a little bit, for
Yeah.
better or worse. But yeah, so we have a program called the First Draft Marathon that's basically kind of a scalable version of that. So the idea of it being a marathon is that you can kind of choose your race at the beginning of the
Yes.
month. So
Yeah,
if you
that's
want
great.
a full marathon, you
Mhm.
get that 50,000 words. If you want to do a
Nice.
half marathon, do 25,000 words. If you
Yeah.
want to do a 10K or a 5K, which is 10,000 or 5,000 words.
I love
Or
it.
you can sign up for the fun run where it's like, hey, just show up to the events and write something.
Yeah.
You get a
No, that's great.
you know, little participation
That's
medal
awesome.
if you've written something this month.
Yeah.
I
And
love
it's great
that.
because I feel like
Mhm.
it gives people that little bit of accountability, but
Mhm. Yeah.
it also is scalable because people have, you know, jobs and kids and lives and
Yeah.
all that kind of things.
Oh, absolutely.
I
I
think
love
that's-
that.
Yeah, I think that's such a cool thing.
Yeah.
So you said the library's putting that on?
Yeah. So that's something we're hosting. It's actually a collaboration between several of the libraries here in Cobb County. So it's our library, Sewell Mill Library, the East Cobb Library, and Schweitzer Library. Are all kind of collaborating on that. So basically what we kind of are planning on doing, and this is, you're getting the inside scoop here because we haven't officially publicized this,
Ooh,
but
exciting.
yeah, we're gonna do. It's looking like probably February and March, but sometime
Okay.
in that ballpark. Because a lot of people just
Cool.
we got a lot of feedback that November they were like, hey, that I know this is like usually the month for this, but like I got Thanksgiving, I gotta go to the
Yeah.
holidays, I got people coming to
Yeah.
town, I'm leaving town,
Yeah.
and whatever.
Yeah.
We kind of figured the spring would be a better time for that, for a lot of people. But yeah, so basically the first month we kind of do like prep workshops, and so we'll do like a workshop on story structure, which I'm like a big geek for, and we'll do a workshop on character development and workshop
I
on
love
setting
it.
and things like that to kind of help
Yeah.
people. You know, we're kind of nicknaming it Prepuary,
I love
because
it.
it'll
I love
be in
that.
February. Yeah,
Yeah.
branding, you'll have to see it, and then and then the month of March will be you know, the actual writing bit.
Nice.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice. Well, it'll
That-
be just in time for us to start another novella.
Exactly.
Darcy's gonna have a heart attack.
Take a break first. Always take a break after big
Yeah.
projects.
Well, space.
Yeah. That's super cool that the library is doing that, though. I think I wish libraries were getting like more. I'm glad that libraries are getting more attention again, because I think that they kind of fell to the wayside for a little while, and that was a little disheartening. But like the fact that they're picking back up, and then you guys are like kind of pulling yourselves into the new age, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's funny. It's as much as it's been unfortunate, some of the ways that libraries have been in the news and kind of been critiqued and things like that, I do feel like it's reminded people about them and kind of brought them back into the forefront a little bit. And yeah, it's one of the things I hear all the time. So I'm not sure you can see the background here, but I'm in the recording studio in the library, which we do have a recording studio for those folks at home who don't know, you know, with instruments and technology and various kind of software and things like that. So a lot of libraries have different specialties, and a lot of we're kind of expanding more and more our writing programs as well, because, you know, we have a lot of reading things, but, you know, it's cool to kind of keep expanding into more writing things, because, you know, and what's cool too is that we kind of have different levels. There are some folks who are like, you know, I'm querying agents, I want to get more eyes on my piece. You know, I'm going to the Atlanta Writers Conference, like all these kind of things are kind of almost like pre-professional or professional. And there's folks who are like, I want to get out of my house on a Tuesday night, and this is where I come, and I get to be creative for an hour, and, you know, this is my thing, this is my place, right? And both of those,
That's so great.
yeah, and what's been really heartening for me is that, you know, it doesn't feel like there's like a divide in the room. Like it feels like both of those groups are feeding and fostering each other in a really cool way. So
That's awesome.
yeah, we've been
That's
really
awesome.
grateful for the kind of people who've been coming in and actually participating in these workshops.
I love
Yeah,
that. That's like such a great element of community. Like that's what a library is about, and that's what like writing is about storytelling and drawing together as a community.
Yeah, because goodness knows writing can be isolating enough by itself. Just like I'm just staring at a blank page and thinking and procrastinating and hoping it gets written eventually. And yeah, it's very isolating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be for sure. Especially if you don't have like other writers like in your life. You can't really like get a writer's feedback on what you've written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matthew, I don't know if I've heard this before, but how did you go from Elon University and all the stuff that you were doing there in film and playwrights and all of that, and then move into the library space?
Yeah, so I bounced around a lot after. So I kind of had I had a major adjustment period with kind of going from being a student in the arts to being a worker in the arts, where I, so I studied film, but I was always really focused on the screenwriting side. I was always like, I am a writer and other stuff. Like that was always kind of the approach. Cool. And I guess I thought that there were more like jobs in writing, I guess, and like kind of in the TV world, I guess, but like there's not really, right? Like it's not nobody's like putting feature film writer on LinkedIn, right? That's not really a thing as much.
That's a very fair critique.
Yeah, and especially I think like it's funny because I think that there's a lot of conversation about like nepo babies and stuff like that, and I think that there's obviously a lot of advantages to that, but I think one of the bigger ones that is not talked about as often is just like my mom is an art teacher, my dad's an engineer, like my dad was still of the mindset of like walk into somewhere with your resume in hand and not quite how it works anymore.
Doesn't really help.
But I just think a lot of people don't understand how the arts, like even if they've learned a lot of art craft, they have not learned how the industry of the arts works.
Yeah.
I really struggled for a while because I was like, well, if I want to be a professional creative, like if I want to be a full-time creative, I have to get the creative type job and whatever. And really kind of like floundering and looking for that. And I think that I really kind of put a lot of pressure on myself to try and like fit different molds. Like I remember one of my first things when I moved to Atlanta, there was a job that was posted for like, it was like a Japanese-based company, and they were making like apps that were like the like choose your own like story, and it's like vaguely like romantic, clearly catered towards teens and young adults, and literally they were like, here's this writing sample, and one of them is like this young woman who's like an intrepid reporter, and she has the bad boy photographer, and then like her like blonde hair, blue eyed, like justice editor in chief, and who's she gonna choose? And I was like, all stuff, and I was like, okay, I mean, I guess I can be a writer for like pay to play, like writing apps. When it was very bizarre. I applied for a lot of weird jobs and stuff like that, but I think what I've realized over time is that like some people do get very lucky and get like a full-time job writing for the thing they want to do all the time, and that's great. But what I've found in my experience and talking with a lot of other people is that a lot of times what the job is like, hey, your bills are paid and you have flexibility to do creative stuff, working for the government has great benefits, and for what we do is okay pay, on the better side of okay, and I have flexibility, both sometimes when it's really slow and I'm at the desk, and sometimes when I go home. I mean, I've had jobs before where some days you get to leave at 4 and some days you're there till 9 p.m. and I was just tired of that kind of grind, and so being able to be like, whatever happens, I am out of here at 6:00. Peace out, have a great life, and I can go and have time and energy for my other creative pursuits. So I think that was kind of the appeal for me, was to be like, I get to be around creativity. I knew that I loved teaching, and I got to kind of do that in some respect as well.
Nice.
But just to get to feel like I'm doing good for people. And because there's a lot of icky jobs where it's like, we're selling people things that I don't know if we should be selling them.
For real.
Because especially a lot of writers, I feel like kind of go into like the copywriting and marketing world, which is great for some folks, and it's a necessary job, and everything's marketing to an extent, but it can get really icky. So I think that was kind of my transition, was realizing that actually it's a thing. Brandon Sanderson, author of I almost said The Winds of Winter. That is not Brandon Sanderson. Mistborn series and things like that. The Cosmeter is kind of his big like universe, a big fantasy author, and he has these lectures available on YouTube from his like class that he teaches at BYU. And one of the classes one of the sessions, was about like being a writer. And he was like, I think he said he was like a security guard or something. He was like, I sat at a desk, I did the night shift, and because it was the night shift, nothing happened, and I was alone and got to sit and write and do my thing. And that's where my novel came from.
Cool.
It was not from being an intern at a publishing house, although again that works for some people, but that was kind of my journey, was going from like, oh well, I must get a job in my field and whatever, to then being like, I don't actually, there's a lot of things you can do that are actually going to feed your creativity more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that it's interesting too because there's so much freedom of like what path you take within the world, like within our current society and like realm, that sometimes it just feels overwhelming of like, well, then I just got to do that one because that's the most direct path. But it's also recognizing that like those are the exceptions, not the rule. Because there's only so many of those positions available, but there's still so many other paths. And being like, okay, what it takes to get to that place on that path, am I willing to be that cutthroat if that's the direction and that's what that path requires? Or am I going to go find like the security guard job and write at night? Am I a night owl? This is a great fit. Or if I'm not a night owl, am I going to go and I need community? Am I going to go be at the library and I'm going to work there and like help other people steward and foster creativity and be inspired by them? And also like, yeah, there's so many ways you can do it, but I think we get caught up, especially with like going from trad to indie, of being like, oh, the trad route is this way and it's only this and this is how you have to do it. But then forgetting that there's so many other options.
Yeah.
And they all have different trade-offs.
Absolutely.
So, within like the library scope, I guess, since we're talking about the library of it all, what do you think? I guess everything's kind of digital now. Like audiobooks are kind of like the main thing that people sort of use for reading nowadays. And I know libraries, like, they tend to offer audiobooks and stuff, but with like the digitalization of like Kindles and everything too, how does the library kind of like, I guess, stay relevant's not the right word, but like relevant?
Yeah, it's what's really nice is I actually think there's a pretty wide spread of what people are engaging with, because I also I mean, I know at least for me, I really only got back. I was a very avid reader as a kid and read a lot in college just because, you know, I was studying creative writing. So they're like, here's these short story collections and whatever. But really for a lot of my early 20s, I didn't read recreationally. Like I might have read one book a year.
Interesting.
Actually, I read something the other day that said that if you read, this is both encouraging for some people and also discouraging depending on how you think of it. But if you read one book a year, you read more than I think 60% of Americans. It might be Americans, maybe all people. But yeah, like if you read one book a year, you are reading more than average, basically. And I think if you read two, you're in like the 90th percentile, something like that.
So an attainable goal, but also sad
very
for literacy.
Attainable goal. Absolutely, absolutely.
That's
but
so sad for literacy.
Right? Yeah. And it's funny because I think for me, part of my getting back into reading was one, I started working at a library and I was like, well, time to do this book thing again. And two, I was like, I feel like that so many of our hobbies, I'm going to sound really like hippy dippy, but so many of our hobbies are screen based that I think that I am always looking for ways to do things that are not a screen.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Because, you know, work is a screen and home is a screen and life is, you know, it's just, there's a lot of screens everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's nice to kind of have that reset. So I think there are a lot of people who really enjoy the kind of tactile, like getting a physical book. I also think some people, like, I know for me, like I do a lot of audiobooks because I'm on the go. Like you know, when I am walking my dog or driving somewhere or whatever, I can have that going and I finish those a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So I think that it's been not... One of the things that I really appreciate is that I think that some people have this perception of the library as almost kind of like a stuffy, judgmental space, and that has not been my experience in the slightest.
Yeah.
People have this like I was raised Catholic, and people have this like coming to confession guilt when they bring a book back late, and I'm like, first of all, we don't do overdue fees. That's a thing in all of Cobb County. A lot of libraries have moved towards that model. There's been a lot of studies on how nickel and diming people for things being late actually discourages library participation, and so it's kind of like a cost trade-off thing. Yeah, so a lot of systems started doing that during COVID and have then kept that as the way.
Cool.
So yeah, we don't we're not going to be like 40 cents for being a day late or whatever it was back in the day. So there's that, but people have this like perception that we're somehow judging, you know, how they're reading, what they're reading, you know, how often they're reading. Like we don't care. We really don't. We just
want people to read. Please read.
Yeah. And so there's not this demonization of like, you know, oh, well, graphic novels aren't real books, or like, oh, like, you know, audiobooks aren't real. Like, it's all reading. It's all good. It's all stories. You're still consuming the same content. I mean, you know, I've been in book clubs where people have read it in 6 different ways, and we're still all able to have discussion about the themes and about the, you know, the content, the prose, and all these great things, you know. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the answer to that. Is I think that not being judgmental and just having more resources. You know, we have a partnership, like Libby is a really big resource.
Yeah.
You know, that we have a partnership with the library. So there's just a lot of great ways to consume stories of any sort. I mean, even, you know, including like DVDs and movies and things like that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because you guys have records and magazines and like the full
Yeah,
shebang.
we got the whole shebang. Absolutely.
Libby is one of the ones where you can like digitally check out a book from the library, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I use that
Which
one.
is like the coolest thing ever. I mean,
Yeah.
you can read
100%.
so many more books that way.
Absolutely.
I will say it has stopped me from feeling like I need to go to the library to get a book because I'll just sit there and scroll and be like, borrow. Like,
Yeah.
and if I don't like it, I don't feel bad about like DNRing it because I'm like, we're going to the next. Like,
Yeah.
but I will say it makes me want to just go to the library and find another reason to just go because it's like
Yeah.
I like the community and the vibe, but it's also like so convenient to have
Yeah.
the Libby app.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is it's I think part of the conversation has been like, some people have the time and desire to browse, and some people are like, I want to read, but I don't have the time to be, walking in all places and going up and down shelves and whatever. And both are valid and both are good. And as long as you're reading something, that's awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I know a lot of people like, we've started doing a lot of book recommendations and like,
Nice.
display shelves of like, hey, if you're into horror, if you liked this series, here's some other stuff you may like. And I think that's been
I
part
need
of the cool. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something
and
I
the thing.
always want after I read a book.
Absolutely. Yeah. More like this. And a lot of times, even if each one of us does not know everything, like I don't read a ton of historical fiction, but I know the people in the library who do. And I can be like, hey, Bruce, come on over here, or whomever it is. Right.
Yeah.
And point people towards that. Cause I think that's part of it is it's nice being able to point people towards the right resource, even if that thing is not us,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys have that on Instagram though? Like these are like our recommended reads. If you like this series, go find these.
Sometimes we have so much. There's so much on our Instagram because it's the one Instagram for all 15 branches. So there
15,
we have our
wow.
we have our events, we have upcoming stuff, we have things that just happened, we have promos, we have book sales, we have book recommendations, we have all kinds of stuff on there. So
That's
follow
awesome.
it. You'll get lots of good Cobb County content. It's Cobb County Library on Instagram and
Nice.
Facebook.
Okay.
Make sure you
I'm gonna go
follow.
scope it out.
I still plug.
Nice. Natural.
So I actually hadn't stepped foot in a library in a while until Lauren was just like, hey, so we can go record at this place. And I was just like, oh, cool. That's like such a far drive, but we'll both make it. It's fine.
Yeah.
So, it is a far drive for you.
Yeah.
Sure. Apologies for the far drive.
No. I love it. I think it was like, because it was the first time I stepped into a library, and you guys have such a welcoming environment.
You guys have a great spot.
And it's like I'm always like, man, I wish I was closer, because you guys also host like all of these different things. Like you have like writing workshops, you have there was something else that me and Lauren were like looking into, where like you go and like you read like a part of your like your work in progress and stuff to get like feedback and everything. And I think it's absolutely beautiful what you guys are like creating within your library space to like help creatives, and I love that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's funny. I mean, it's more common to hear that honestly than not half the time. Like when I'm getting people new cards and stuff, they're like, "Yeah, I haven't been in a library since like 6 or 7." And again, it's this weird. It feels very Catholic. It's very like
interesting.
I absolve you. You say 5 Hail Marys or whatever. Like it's very.
Check out 5 books and you're good.
No, seriously, it feels like they are almost like seeking absolution. And I'm like, you're good, dude. You're fine. It's not. It's this weird like guilt that we've created around reading.
Weird.
I don't know whether that is like an offshoot of like the personal pan pizza days of like accelerated reading points and like things like that. I don't know what that is. But there is. People have a lot of guilt and shame about what they're reading, whether they're reading, whatever. And it's just I have coworkers who barely read, who are, they know how to read, of course, but who are not, we're not all crushing 300 books a year. Like we're not, there's some wild people out there, and that's not us. So we just read what we want to read. And,
That's awesome though that you guys are getting people in. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, okay. I think a lot of it, I wonder if a lot of it stems from like you were saying, like school days, like where like the library was sort of like the place you had to go to study and learn. And so now people kind of have like negative connotations and don't realize that like reading can just be something you do. Like it doesn't have to, you don't have to like force yourself to do it if you don't like doing it. But if you like doing it, you can take a year to read an entire book if you don't have time, or if it takes you time to read. And
Yeah.
Libraries are a great like aspect of just being like, okay, well, I'll check out this book for a little while and then I don't like it, so I'm just going to return it instead of having to like buy a million, because let me tell you, I have too many books.
Yeah. Also,
no
not
such
for
thing.
nothing.
No such thing.
No such thing. Also, if it ever helps people, because I know this helped me in a weird kind of way, we don't have a stat to check whether you read it or not. Like, if you check something out and it sits on your bedside table for 6 months, well, maybe not 6 months, it's a little too long, but if it sits for, you know, the 3 weeks plus the 2 renewals, so a total of 9 weeks total, and then you do not crack it open once and you return it, still helps us, still helps our circulation numbers, still helps, you know, tell the library system and the county government or city government or whatever your system is that you like the library, and it still keeps us open. So that's just check them out. I have so many things. I literally have a stack on my desk right now that it's really bad working here, and I can't imagine like being at a place where I have to pay for things, because I'll be like shelving and I'll be like, all right, and this goes here, that goes with me, thank you so much. Like I'll just yoink things and
I love that.
Like,
that's
actually,
amazing.
This one's mine. Thank you. Or I'll place a hold for somebody and say like, "Oh, you're next in line for this," and I'll be like, "You know what? I'm right after you. Thank you so much."
Yeah.
So
I love that. That's amazing.
Because I know it helps. It doesn't hurt anybody to check it out. You know.
Well, and I wonder too if like social media, I don't know if you guys see this a lot, you probably do just because we're on like the reading writing spaces, but like people will post their like, this is what I read this month, and it's like usually like 10, 12, 15 books, and it's just like, post what you've read this month. And there's just like, there's almost this competitive nature still even as adults now, that if you're in that world or you have some sort of touch point within that world, that seems very common. Like, these are the 50 books I'm reading this year, these are the 100 books I'm reading this year, have you read these 100 books? If not, you're an idiot. Like,
yeah.
It is. It's
hard.
I mean, it kind of goes to what we were talking about like, you know, tangible goals and stuff like that, because it's like, for me, it's been really nice having like almost like a celebration of it in a way of like, you know, oh, I set my however many books I'm trying to read a year on Goodreads or Storygraph or whatever. And that's encouraging, but I have to be, at least for me, I have to be really careful to not let it be pass fail, like, oh, I failed, I didn't get to whatever, you know. It's like it's more than I would have read any other year, and it's more than I would have read, you know, had I not done this at all, you know. And I even feel like it's that way with any kind of media, like even you know, I love Letterboxd, but like, you know, I think sometimes the like, I don't know, the true like self-defined like cinephiles, it's like one, if you haven't seen enough movies, it's kind of like, oh, you haven't seen enough movies. And two, if you like rate something too highly, almost, it's like almost embarrassing. Yeah. And I think it's part of what I like too about, you know, there's this huge rise. I mean, it's something we talk about, you know, in the library system all the time, because it's very eternally relevant, but like the, you know, meteoric rise of romantasy, and like, you know, romance is a genre that used to be this very taboo, like, oh, these little like tiny paperbacks over in the corner kind of thing, and now it's like extremely mainstream. And that can, you know, there's a certain shame people have with that, but one, you're reading, and two, it's a story like any other. I mean, it's a thing. One of the biggest rules I have in my writing workshops, in both songwriting and creative writing that I run, is no snobs allowed, because it's like any genre, there are good, and do you have a ghost back there?
It's my dog. I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry. No, I have a dog as well. I was just curious about what animal or human was making that noise.
Or ghost, or the skeleton in the background.
Or ghost. You know, this is actually you know, a spooky podcast now. We're welcome to Night Vale now.
I think she just remembered that I was home, so she's outside the door.
Great. She's like, hey, me time now. Actually, thank you so much.
Yeah. It's such a dog thing.
Absolutely, God. But yeah, like I think that's been interesting, is to like it's some like the reason I have no snobs allowed as a rule is that there are good and bad versions of every genre, whether it is, you know, fantasy, sci-fi, fiction, memoir, whatever. Like there's a way it can be good and a way it can be not as good, and you know, there's no shame in any genre in and of itself, or in any book. If it's a trash book, like my wife has a term, she says like McDonald's reading, where it's like, hey, this is gonna go down easy, I'm not gonna have to think about it too much, it makes me feel good, and it's a nice little vibe, we're gonna move on with our lives. Like, it does not have to like move my soul or whatever every single time.
Yeah.
Well, oh, go ahead, Darcy.
I'm sorry. No,
go for it.
I was just gonna say, kind of like based off of your any reading is good reading, like as long as you're doing it. That's like something huge within because I know you mentioned earlier on in like the fan fiction space. I can't tell you the amount of books that I've probably, like, if you add up like the amount of word counts that I've read for stories throughout the year is insane. But like a lot of people are like, oh, I can't tell people that I read like 30-40 books this year.
Sure.
Like, or in a month because I have to be like, oh, it was fan fiction. And like, there's so many like people that are like, that's not real books. And I'm like, but it is. Like, you're still reading.
More and more. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Traditional published books and movies are now being based off of fan fictions. Like, what was it was a book, and then it was just recently a movie with Anne Hathaway. I think the idea of you, that's a Harry Styles fan fiction. He's Harry Styles. Why are we not realizing this? And that's fine. That's valid. So like, what, you're not allowed to count it as a book until it gets published, and then after the fact you can be like, oh well, I read that, I just didn't like. Yeah, no, it's stories. There's good and bad versions of it across the board.
Yeah. Because there's been such an uptick in like independent writing and everything. How do you guys navigate that as a library of like, if an independent author wanted their book to be like in your library, how does that work for them?
Yeah, so usually, I mean, people can suggest any kind of materials, whether it's pre-published or whatever. It's usually the same process. The biggest thing I would say is if you're able to go through the Library of Congress and get it registered that way. It's almost like kind of like getting registered through copyright, but getting a Library of Congress number and or an ISBN for your book. And there's a lot of different routes to do that. You can look up different routes. Because then it's kind of more of it's not just like, oh, I drew this on notebook paper and, slapped it together, right? There's a little more legitimacy there. And also one of the really cool things that I wrote this down, so I was able to remember it. But
nice.
we actually have several local authors or indie author book fairs, and also a ghost. We do have a ghost over at Darcy's window there.
Taking out the skeleton.
It's, I don't know when this is going out, but it's still spooky season in my heart.
It's going out tomorrow.
Perfect. It is spooky season everywhere. We'll just tap on the skeleton, do the skeleton ASMR.
Oh gosh.
This is actually an ASMR podcast as well as a horror podcast. We're hitting every genre. It's multi-genre.
This episode is going to be the most listened to.
Yeah, because the SEO is gonna be crazy. Let's talk about, like, I don't know, The Office or Dance Moms or something, and then we can be like, it's a watch along podcast too.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, yes, there is a local author and an indie author book fair in several of the regions actually in the library. You can register for if you've published like any book in any way. You can apply for that. And it is still application based, but there are a lot of good slots there, and they do panels. People can sell their books. People can do book signings, things like that. They're actually the near upcoming ones, which it's a little too late to apply for these. But you can at least go and like check it out. Is the South Cobb Library has their indie author book fair November 15th. 11 to 4, I believe that's a Saturday. And then the West Cobb region has their local indie author fair December 13th from 11 to 3. So
nice.
I know that there's one at Schweitzer Library over by the Marietta Square. There's a lot of ones all over the region, and I haven't looked specifically in like Fulton and DeKalb counties or whatever. What you listener at home, whatever county you reside in. But again, you would be surprised how many of these there are, and how sometimes it's relatively easy to get into them because there's just not that many applicants. People don't know about that. They don't apply, et cetera, et cetera. So that is a really great resource as well, just to kind of get connected to a fan base a little more.
Yeah, well, it sounds pretty straightforward as far as like getting into you, like with the library, as far as like, Library of Congress, ISBN, like those are all normal things that you would probably want or have or need to have anyways, just to publish it, period. Absolutely. Yeah.
Even things I believe that are like, Amazon self-publisher, Barnes and Noble still usually have some kind of tag like that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That seems super approachable for an indie author to be able to do. And then depending on the library that's within the county or the area that, the listeners or the authors are in, they'll have different resources available as well, like these book fairs, like these writing workshops. That's super neat. It sounds like the libraries are a really great hidden like place to go to start being encouraged, building community, building a marketing space, like to get your stuff out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, just building that community. I think any kind of writers group, we've even our group has started expanding to the point where we're like, people are asking for workshops in times that I am actually not on the clock and not working. So we're like, we might just end up like kind of spilling this over to where it's not just a library program, but just like people meeting up regularly. We even do community partnerships where we've held workshops at like coffee shops and things like that around the area, just to kind of like be out in the world a little more and things like that. So that would be one of my biggest recommendations that has been good for me as a writer, is like just having some kind of community or y'all are like a partnership, and like having some kind of accountability, because it encourages you to get the thing done, but it also, I don't know, makes it a little more, it demystifies the process a little bit, at least for me it has, where it's like, oh, we're not doing some kind of weird, genius alchemy up in my tower. It's just like, yeah, man, my character, I don't know what the hell to do with my characters and what they're doing at this point. I got to figure it out. Oh, you do too? Great. We're both lost. Cool. We're lost together,
That's all of our podcast episodes with Darcy and I.
Literally.
It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Who knows?
What's happening,
Just
Darcy?
figure it out as I go along.
Yeah. Well, but it is, and it's one of the cool things that has been good to talk to people about as well, is like process, because it's funny, y'all were saying like, oh, well, we should have done X, Y, and Z with our process, but if there's anything that I've found in the things that I've actually like finished in different projects and things like that, is that what works for one process does not work for another. Like there are times, like, have y'all heard the whole like plotting versus pantsing thing?
Yes. I'm a plotter and Darcy's a pantser, so
Okay.
it's been really funny to like work together.
Yes. Okay. So for the folks at home, if you're not in the know on the lingo, a plotter is basically somebody who like, has a structure, has an outline, plots things out, is very like, has kind of a skeleton first and then fills it in from there. And a pantser flies by the seat of their pants and is like, I'm going to start writing and we'll see what comes out. Right. The argument that I would make is that I think that inherently you're always going to have a little bit of both. I don't think anybody is pure pantser or pure plotter, but different things. Like I've been a plotter through and through. Like I think maybe training in screenwriting, like a lot of screenwriting training has to do with like there's like Save the Cat and sequence approach and all these things, which are great, and I think they're very helpful to learn structure. Because I definitely had a little bit of the whiplash going from my creative writing classes to my screenwriting classes, because screenwriting are like, hey, it's page 10 and we don't know who your villain is yet. Chop chop, like that kind of stuff, right? And then in creative writing, it's like, so we're going to move through the space, and the internal life of the character, it's like a very flowy, hippy-dippy, whatever.
Yeah.
But that works different for different stories. Like I'm a plotter through and through, but right now the best writing I've been doing has been pantsing, where I've been like, I have a couple of scenes that I know I'm doing and story beats that I know are happening. I'm just going to write those and then fill in the rest as I go and just write what's fun for me that day. And I think sometimes for some people who are pantsers, it's easy to get lost in the weeds, and maybe a little bit of plotting is helpful. And I think for people who are plotters, like sometimes when you plot out the whole story, then it's like, oh, well, now it's not fun anymore. Like I already know what's going to happen. Now I just have to write it. Like that's annoying. So even, but again, like talking to people who are either one, I feel like it's helpful to then like share a little bit and
Yeah, Darcy's dying over here. She feels called out, I can tell.
Do you have like a shame of pantsing, or are you like, it sounds very juvenile. You're like, pantsing in the schoolyard. But yes.
Let me pants you. Oh no. Sorry. No. So the issue we ran into with the novella was that Lauren was trying to plot, and I was like, no. And so it kept getting longer and longer and longer.
Yeah.
And so then finally Lauren was like, no, we're doing an outline. And I was like, okay.
Don't go for it, Matthew.
No. Please say your thing, because man,
I was just gonna say, I think I ignored some of my things of what I wanted to do because I wanted to give Darcy the freedom to pants, because I know that like we are two very different styles and there isn't one right way to do it. Like you said, I think everyone has a little bit of both, and I think my thing is that I can get stuck in like, this is the outline, therefore this is what the story is, and lose some of those really awesome moments that Darcy finds along the way. And then I realized, as we started to learn what a novella formatting-wise looks like, that I had not given us the right space to actually do what we needed to do. And that I probably should have been like, we should do a little bit of this and then have fun.
Advice for novellas, anybody that's going to touch down into them, outline. Even if you're a pantser, outline. Please. It's so hard. It's so hard if you're trying to write a novella.
Now, why? For you, was that the length thing that really you kind of made that like, oh shoot, the pantsing's not working, or what was it that made you like, oof, time to back up?
So it was a little bit of like the length, because the issue that we really like, I think the biggest issue we were running into was that I had a kind of a sort of set idea of what I wanted to do to write it, and then we came up with other ideas as we talked about it. So we were like, oh, we need to add this. Oh, we need to add this. We need to add this. And then it became bigger than it was. And so I was trying
Turning
to
into
still,
a novel.
yeah. So I was trying to like include everything that we had come up with throughout like the conversations, but still keep it short. So it was too much, and
Sure.
we were diving too much into like the world building, the character building, instead of just like taking these two characters and making them kiss.
Sure. Take the action figures and just mash them together. Plastic on plastic.
But in a way though, doing it that way and having that mess up actually helped us create the outline, because a lot of the ideas that we were like trying to shove in, we were like, okay, yeah, they'd already been written, come up. So then when Lauren and me sat down and we had like a 4-hour conversation and we blocked out every chapter. We didn't like, it was really nice because since Lauren is like such a solid planner, she knows how to go about planning things, but in a more in-depth way. And I can't have like too much of a constriction on it when I'm writing, because it makes it not flow the way it needs to for me. So it was really kind of a beautiful way for when we got together talking about it. We created this outline, but it was still loose enough that like I, as a pantser, could have a free flow, have fun with what I was writing, and not feel like I was being shoved into a little box.
Yeah.
And then Lauren also got to be like, okay, I know what's going on now. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, and I will say one other thing that was kind of like a like surprise blessing out of it was that because because we lost almost half of the time we had to write it when we kind of like reoriented. It wasn't like a full reset, but it was a pretty hard reorient. I was actually able to dive in, and because we basically just did like a couple lines per chapter, unless we thought of like a really great line or a really great moment that had to be in that chapter, I was able to jump in and take on some of the writing for different chapters because I knew the general gist of what was going to go there. And then Darcy could come in and tweak it based on what she was writing as well. Or we can make notes of like, hey, this is conflicting in this thing. Or, oh, hey, this lines up really well in this thing. Or, oh, make sure this note or this line is somehow included in this chapter back here because we're referencing something. And so I think it helped also alleviate a little bit of the workload and not be like, all right, Pantser, have fun and hit this deadline and also reorient and just be like, let me provide some like structure that helps, not constricts. Because I think that was always my fear with like going into the novella for Darcy, is that I didn't want her to feel constricted and like stuck and like she had to like let go of the things she was really good at in order to fit in this box or this way to do it.
Yeah, it's so tricky. And it's one of those that I ask me week to week and I'll have a different opinion on it and different stance on it. But like, again, like for me, having come from both the prose and fiction world and playwriting world and also the screenwriting world, like, I mean, even like, we learned TV writing, which is so structured and so like, all right, you got your 6-act structure for this and your 3-act structure for this, and you got to hit the commercial breaks. And I mean, it's like times to the minute. To the second sometimes. And it's funny because I think there's a huge benefit of being able to write on a deadline, but I also think like because then on the flip side, when you talk to people who are writing, novels and fiction and poetry and stuff like that, it's like, well, that's like the argument that they would probably say for that is like, well, you had to write those scenes because even if they were unnecessary, they gave you the insights into the character, and that's how you realize, like, even if the conversation with the mom never made it into the draft, well, now you know what a conversation with the mom would be like, right? And I do think there's merit to that. I also think that people sometimes spend 12 years writing a novel that never actually gets released to the world, and that's okay as well. But I think like if you are somebody who's trying to churn out work, having a little bit of that like, all right, let's get this done and line this up into a structure a little bit also helps. So I think there's such a balance, and again, I think it's a spectrum that very few people are all the way on one end or the other. But I know for me, I've had to resist both sides. There's times where I've been like, oh, I'm writing and rewriting the first third of this book so much. And there's a whole 2/3 of the book left that I need to get to eventually. I can't just like, it's like somebody asked you to clean a room and you're like polishing the floorboards over and over again. It's like, all right, you got to vacuum eventually, right? But again, like I think that, being a little bit too rigid with it, I that's a critique I have. I'm not, my screenwriting teacher was not, and I have come to not be the biggest fan of things like Save the Cat, because I think that they're good for doing things quickly. But are you, I think Lauren, I think we've talked about this, but Darcy, are you familiar with Save the Cat at all?
Yes, through Lauren.
Through Lauren. Okay, yes. Yeah, and so for listeners at home, the whole thing with Save the Cat, the where the title comes from is that at some point in the first, it might be 10 pages, 10, 15 pages, something like that.
I think it's 10, 15.
to demonstrate to your audience who the main character is and to get us to care about them, they should save the cat and basically do something that is undeniably good to prove to us that they are the good guy, which in some ways is really helpful. And sometimes I've caught myself being like, oh, he sure is saving the cat there. Great. And in some ways is a little reductive and a little bit like, okay, there's a lot of amazing movies out there that have no save the cat moment and are still, there's so many more nuanced ways to show the thing, right? But Save the Cat has a lot of really definitive beats that happen. I mean, every like 5, 10, 15 pages or so, there's like a tent pole that kind of gets hit. And those are helpful in some ways for me. But for me and my process, even when screenwriting or even when writing TV or things like that, it becomes a little bit like, well, now I'm just coloring by number and I don't feel like I get to pants and find the loosey-goosey stuff. And what's hilarious is half the time when I do pants and get loosey-goosey, I'll stumble on and be like, oh, that sure is a midpoint passive to active shift there, isn't it? Wow. Like you end up, when you learn the structure, you end up recognizing it in yourself as you're going along. Yeah. So there's a lot of good story models out there that people really like. I have opinions on all of them, and I think that the best approach for me has been to draw a little bit from each. But it's tricky. It's tricky balance always.
Yeah, I've overplotted before and then been like, well, I know how the story ends, so I'm not going to write it anymore.
It gets lame. It gets lame. %. I've planned it out and now I just got to do it. Ugh, lame, stupid.
Because, one of the things that I love the most about pantsing is that I don't even know where my story's going. So I'm just like, this is so exciting.
Yeah. Well, I've run into the thing too where like it's so frustrating because I will start, I'll kind of, write a little bit, write some of the fun things and then be like, cool, I know enough to have my outline. Then I'll do my outline. And then as I keep going, I will then realize that like, oh, actually the direction this wants to go is not what my outline was. And then I have to like choose which darling to kill. I'm like, well, do I get rid of this cool idea and go with the outline that I originally had? Or do I say, you know what, that's not the direction this is going anymore and stick with the things that are actually exciting me? And now I got to redo the outline a million times, Yeah.
Yeah. Can be difficult for sure. Just gotta
think that's go ahead.
Oh no, you can go.
I was just saying, I think that's the beauty of like the different ways that you're talking about of doing it. Yeah, we were on the same page. Yeah, just like it's there's like we were talking about earlier, but there's no one way to become a writer or a professional writer if we want to get more specific. And it's like there's no one right way to write a book. There's a lot of different ways that can help guide you in that process. But yeah, that's all I was gonna say.
Yeah, that was literally what I was gonna say. So
love that. Heard.
So, the waiter life of creatives. So with your writing and everything, I know you were talking about like your works in progress at the very beginning. But do you have anything that you have like out there in the world that you want to like share with the audience and kind of bring them in to check out?
Yeah. Not really at the moment. I mean, a lot of my stuff that has been fully published is in kind of the playwriting world. So, stay tuned. You can follow me on Instagram or whatever. Matty_Joe 319 on Instagram and all the things. So, stay tuned and I'll tell you when there's things to go see. But and then I would say just to come check out our workshops at the library that I myself and one of my coworkers run it. It's super fun. And we are trying to do a lot of cool things for the writers of the area. So, not a lot of stuff to read. There's I do know that somewhere out there, if you want to go on a scavenger hunt, I had 2 pieces published in my college literary magazine. And one of them won a college media award.
Well, there you go.
If you want to find that somewhere, I think I did find it on the internet the other day because somebody was asking about it. All right, great. You get to read my 21-year-old short story ramblings, for better or worse. So you can find that somewhere if you want to go on a rabbit hole. But stay tuned for things you can come buy tickets to in the Atlanta area.
Well, there you go. Yeah. And if anybody's in Cobb County, definitely go check out the libraries and the workshops for sure. Yeah. All right. As always, guys, you got to remember, everybody's a work in progress. It's a process. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, or shoot us an email. Y'all have a good one.
Thank y'all so much. I gotta put, best foot forward for the studio here. I want to make sure we're representing well.
Absolutely.
Much appreciated.
And then ours is still recording. Great, amazing.
Yes.
Right.
Let me pull up my questions.
Okay, I'll run you through real quick while she grabs the questions. So basically, Darcy's going to kick us off. She's going to introduce us. She'll be like, hey, I'm Darcy. Then I'll go, hey, I'm Lauren. And then you can be like, hey, I'm Matthew. And then Darcy will kind of introduce you and kind of your, not background, but just like how we know you or what you're known for, I guess. And then we'll jump into basically the questions. And then we'll wrap it up with practical tips or some of the things that we pull from basically what we've talked about, just like one or two things that we can summarize from the conversation. And then we'll give a space for you to plug any of the library stuff, your stuff, however you want to go with that. And that's it. Pretty chill.
Sounds great.
It's very like flow conversation. Like we'll ask questions and stuff, but like it can be very just like back and forth. It's very casual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out. Love the skull background, by the way. That's very fun.
Thank you.
Very, very seasonally appropriate.
I was like running around setting it up beforehand. I was like, it needs to look good.
Nice.
Okay. I guess I'll start with the opening, right? Because it's a guest episode. Okay. Head to slate.
Yes.
Okay.
Always.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Untitled Work in Podcast. I'm Darcy, and today we have a special guest. But first, Lauren.
Oh, I thought I was going to say I'm Lauren after you say I'm Darcy.
Okay,
this usually takes us a time or two, Matthew. Just so you know.
You're doing great.
I got it. Okay. I'm going to do it differently. I got this. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Untitled Work in Podcast, where today we have a special guest with us. But first, I'm Darcy.
I'm Lauren.
And our guest.
We do this every time, Matthew.
We're doing amazing. We're doing amazing. Take three.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get this down.
No,
okay,
it's all good. Water break.
I'm going to do it differently. Okay, so I'm going to do like the welcome back to Untitled Work in Podcast. I'm Darcy. And then Lauren will go, I'm Lauren. And then I'll go, and our special guest today. And then you can go, I'm Matthew.
Awesome. I can do that.
Okay.
Perfect. We just need a minute to coach ourselves.
Love that.
All right, I got this.
Yes, you do.